Welcome, guys. This is the Scotty Tuhati Show, and this is Scotty Tuhati with my favorite co-host. It's Astin. Say hi, Astin.
What up, guys?
Welcome to Season 2. Today's episode is going to be about the COVID.
Oh, yeah, we're going in.
We're going to talk about this whole deal. So let's give us a little round of applause as soon as I find it here. Here it is.
There it is.
Pretty cool. We're getting used to this now, I think, a little bit.
The soundboard?
Yeah.
You're killing it.
How about this one?
There's a little...
Echo.
That's coming in later. But this whole COVID thing, this whole coronavirus, this whole deal is something that I had a really big outlook on earlier. I did.
You did?
I did, and so I really figured that this was going to be a time that I sat down and made fun of the whole COVID thing, and until I sat down and I really researched all this stuff, and then I really looked at my own self, and I looked at how I was perceiving myself and my views on stuff, and I changed it all.
Interesting. I can't wait to hear.
Well, I mean, okay, so, I mean, I want everybody to know that since all this stuff came into effect, or it was exposed to us, I haven't listened to one news clipping or footage. I haven't watched the news. I haven't watched CBC.
Since the beginning?
Since the beginning, I've never watched nothing.
None of it.
Not one thing. And I want you to understand that the reason why I never did was because where I grew up back home, I grew up near Detroit, and that's I watched the Detroit news, so I really don't really care for the news too much because I know how much they push the bad stuff, and so
totally understandable.
Yeah, it's totally. And I mean, it was all shoot, and so I didn't really watch the Canadian news because it was too boring. I didn't watch Farmer Joe and how his wheat price were growing that year or whatever. I mean, I just wasn't interested in it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I just stayed away from the Detroit news because it was always shoot, gun. So that's what it was to me. So I mean, this is what I learned, and so I mean, this is the report that I kind of on all the stuff that I learned, and I mean, I know that you guys all know it, but I mean, since I never was influenced by nothing, this is what I've accumulated, and this is how I changed my thoughts on stuff.
In the last few days.
In the last few days.
Yeah, let's listen.
Okay, so so I mean, I noticed that the whole trade in the world. And everything's stopped. Everyone's livelihood, their jobs and businesses, everything's just halted.
The
economy, and I think that's one thing that made me so against it all, was because I was so worried about how the economy would crash and how it's going to rebound out of this. And I really figured that it was more important. You know what I mean? I put the economy first. Yep. I thought the economy was more important than everybody else's safety. So, I mean...
But, that's a valid thought because we didn't know a lot about exactly what was coming,
No,
so I could see that.
That's the whole thing, is I didn't know.
And you're a smart thinker, and you're immediately being like, okay, this is going to fuck up the economy. Like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Regardless, because what was coming wasn't really, we didn't know, right? And now we do, so carry on.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, what exactly is a pandemic? The pandemic is a disease prevalent over the whole world and over the whole country. That's what a pandemic means. This is okay. So I mean, in hindsight, what we can sit here, and I notice that I always had to hear people talking about what the prime minister or the presidents, what they did wrong, right? I mean, and what they could have did. I mean, we could always look in hindsight and say, you should have did this and should have did that. And so I don't really want to go there because what really matters is what they did do. I mean, what they didn't do, it's irrelevant, right? Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, we can sit here. I mean, it's I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. I mean, I don't care who killed JFK, or Jimmy Hoffa, or none of that bullshit, right? I mean, it's a pretty good story, but I mean, I don't want to. I just don't really care about all. That's where all kind of diseases always originated from, was from seaports and travel. So I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I think they did the right decision there. Mm-hmm. I really do.
Maybe a little slow on it in some ways, because for me, I was coming back from Vegas on January 21st, and when we were on our way to the airport, we heard a group of people talking about this Chinese illness or Chinese flu going around. And we were like, oh, great, we're going to the airport. And they was like, I mean, they were kind of doing secondary screening when we landed in Vancouver on January 21st, but like nothing crazy. It was just like all flights from whatever in Hong Kong and China go to this place for secondary screening.
Yikes.
And we're just like scarves wrapped around our head.
Oh, no way.
And I mean, that was like January 21st, and the shutdown happened mid-March, so like 2 months before, you know, and like they were doing nothing at the airports. Exactly. Exactly what I'm saying. We were like,
yeah, I bet.
we were wrapped the fuck up until we got out of the freaking baggage claim. It was terrifying.
Okay. How about this one? How about this?
So you're gonna tell me it's just like having the cold?
No, not that one.
So you're gonna...
Come on, figure it out.
How about
Yeah, coronavirus.
Oh, Jesus.
That's you on Sunday morning.
That's you Sunday morning.
You Sunday morning.
No.
Not me.
Not me.
I don't throw up.
I don't get sick.
Me either.
Okay, so I mean, let's look at what the coronavirus is. The coronavirus is an infectious disease. People can be infected in it and have little but no symptoms. It takes 14 days for it to incubate into a person and before symptoms are shown. People can spread the infection without knowing that they are carriers. You may not know that you are infected because of the symptoms are a lot like the flu and the cold. Most people that are infected with the COVID-19 will experience mild to moderate respiratory illnesses and recover without requiring special treatment. And people that are most acceptable
like 97%.
Yes. Yeah. With people that are most acceptable to the illness are the young and the old, and people that are affected by other diseases at the same time. So
yeah, like immune compromised, or like, you know, they've got something else that's going to kill them. And
yeah, I mean they got liver disease, right? I mean,
pops
like,
it off.
Yeah, I mean
for sure.
So
like kind of like the normal flu.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's where they were talking a lot about it. Is like. I like the prime minister. I'm not the prime minister, but the president was talking about how it was close to the flu, and I mean, and it has been compared to it quite a bit, and I think that's where a lot of jaded ideas have come into it, and it actually made me think that way too. But I mean, like the flu kills about 1%, so and the coronavirus is up about 3%, so.
Are those the people, updated numbers?
Those are the people that are affected that are contaminated or have the disease, and only about 3% of those people die from it.
Right. I think 1 to 3% because I was doing some numbers on some of the
It just
depends.
It's 1 to 3 for sure,
depending on the country.
Yes,
really.
Obviously, but I mean, like, what in comparable to the flu, about 1% of the people that can get contagious by or will die of it.
So it's incrementally more lethal than the flu.
Yeah, it's 3 times as much. That's what the numbers are, and I've sat down and I calculated a lot of those numbers.
Yeah, I did that too. Actually, so like a couple weeks ago. I don't remember them, so I'm not going to talk about it, but I did.
So I looked at how the coronavirus was spread.
Yeah.
So the coronavirus is spread through saliva and a discharge from the nose
like
when an infected person coughs or sneezes.
Liquid particles.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Coronavirus.
Yeah.
My cardio impression.
Excuse me, I got the shits. I got the fucking shits. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. I got the shits.
No, you don't get the shits from the coronavirus. It's not like the flu where you puke. And, no, you don't puke, and you don't have the shits from it. Okay, that's enough of that. Stop playing with the board, Astin.
I didn't touch your board, Scotty.
Stop playing with the board all the time. Yeah, I got to keep her hands above the table because you know what she does.
Shut up. I'm literally massaging my left toe right now.
That's my toe.
No, it's mine.
Oh shit! Sorry.
It hurts.
I wish. So, what another thing that I looked into was how long one of the big questions that came up was that was asked was how long can the virus stay outside the body? And so the reason why I use the word "stay" is because I've seen it a lot in the research that I did. Is people wanted to use the word "live," and the disease actually doesn't live outside the body.
Okay.
Also, what I found was that's what I just said. And so what it does is like it's airborne. It can be possibly airborne for up to 3 hours. It can be stay on copper
3 hours?
3 hours.
If it's like sprayed out of a sneeze?
Well, yes, and it has to be ideal conditions.
Like maybe really humid and warm.
Yes, exactly.
But doesn't it die in heat?
Well, that's the whole thing. The temperature has to be right, and the moisture has to be right.
Right.
But these are all in ideal conditions, and it says I can stay on copper up to 4 hours. I can stay on cardboard up to 24 hours, and plastic and stainless steel up to 72 hours. That's what I learned. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. And it's like I said, the conditions have to be right. So we talked about the word "live," and because they don't exactly live outside, because it's an appropriate term, as the virus is not really alive because they do not reproduce by themselves, and viruses invade a living cell by hijacking its genetic machinery in order to reproduce.
I see that. Understand. So it like jumps on and it's like, I'm going to use you to make more.
Yes, it has to jump on you and has to use you like a dirty fucking vaccine or disease or whatever that bad, damn it, shitty thing or whatever, right?
Right.
So, all right. Well, this is another thing that I learned, and it's about vaccines. I learned a lot about vaccines, and I looked into it. And vaccines.
Do we really want to go to vaccines right now?
We want to talk about
Let's just skate over this.
No,
surface.
I know this because this is a very good thing that I can't wait to share with you.
I'm excited to share.
I can't wait to share this with you. So, I mean, vaccines are a lot different than a cure. Vaccines are something that prevents the disease, and a cure obviously takes care of it while you have it, right? So, I mean, one thing that I have noticed, and even though I haven't listened to a lot of media, but I know that the people of North America and stuff, they think that a cure is just around the table. I mean, around the corner. I mean, in all reality, it's not. And then like the presidents or whoever, they said that it was going to maybe a year or a year and a half.
Yeah.
But that's not reality.
No.
And then the facts are that this is how long the actual timeline of a vaccine is going to come into existence. And this is from the New York Times. So this is pretty legitimate. So this is what I've learned. Hold on, give me 1 second here. Let me see. So these are the most realistically, this is the timeline. So it's going to take about 2 years of academic research that puts us to 2022. You have preclinical trials. That goes from 22 to 24.5. Then you have first phase of trials, which is 6 months. Phase 2 would be another year, and phase 3 puts us to 2028. And the building of factories is about 5 years. That puts us to 2033. Manufacturing is another 2 years. Approval puts us to 2036. Distribution is another 6 months. So the most realistically timeline on a vaccine for this is about 2037.
Wow, that doesn't upset me at all.
Is that pretty sobering or what?
It's sobering. It doesn't upset me. I mean, I personally feel like the powers that be in place are going to like pump something out in the next year and start seeing it. But I agree with those numbers. Like if you actually go by what it should technically take for a vaccine to come out, that's 100% correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Which is like, how the fuck does that work? So when they come out and say, okay, next year everyone's mandatorily getting vaccinated, we're going to be like, excuse me?
Yeah, so it gives us all a false hope, which I think is really...
Or a false fear, because like I personally, I don't. Anyways, carry on. I'm not even gonna. I'm not gonna.
So I mean, since all this stuff has came into, I mean, we looked at social distancing.